state infrastructure strategy is the first of its kind, and it took us about 3 years to develop, and that's culminated in the strategy being approved and endorsed by government late last year. We've called on the government to review their long-term transport plan, and part of that's about thinking about the next iteration of transport solutions. So MetroNet is clearly being delivered and rolling out across the metro area, but we need to think about what the next tier of public transit looks like. And we've talked about a mid-tier transport solution. We haven't specified what that should look like, but we've asked the government to look at corridors and start forward planning now, so that's protected for the future. The benefit of starting to plan for these corridors is we can also attract densification around nodes of activity. So like in heavy rail, where you get a station and then emerging heavy use and retail and other types of activity, in bringing in a mid-tier transport solution, we've also got the opportunity to grow the activity around those corridors. However, the private sector also has the ability to come in and provide the amenity and build the density that will create the success of those networks. Working together, government and industry can deliver those solutions over the long term.
Trackless trams have been on the agenda of our research group for some time, and we have been looking to the day when they will come to Perth and we can all share them. That is now happening. We're going to have a big event when they come in October, which will be celebrating the work that we've been doing around the world, across Australia, and helping to see that the idea of mid-tier transit that joins the city together and provides an option better than buses and cars and enables urban regeneration to happen, particularly a net zero urban regeneration. So we have corridors of net zero developing through the city, and that the mid-tier transit, the trackless trams, can enable that. So settle down and we'll show you how we've developed over the last 5 years into a story of change for cities.
So what we've done in this project is bring together 5 local authorities and Curtin University into what we call the Perth consortium. That group has come together to test the idea around the trackless tram in the Perth context. So basically a big cross-section across the centre of Perth, really looking at what are the opportunities for transit to help urban renewal happen in the inner ring of Perth.
For the City of Canning, trackless tram project is critical because we want to see more people on public transport and less motor vehicles on the street. The development of our main street in Cecil Avenue has as one of its core deliverables connection from the Canning rail station through to Curtin University and through to the Perth CBD. And the trackless tram is a central part of that. Trackless tram is an efficient, silent, sustainable way of travelling, and hopefully it'll be patronised by many because of its uniqueness in Australia. The trackless tram will be instrumental in releasing land value. In other words, there will be more opportunity for more people to live in our main street. We have so much confidence in our city centre that we're actually actively out there buying land to develop. If it wasn't for the partnership that we have with Curtin University, we would be just one little voice in local government. Instead of looking at the opportunity to have a joined up approach across a number of local governments which provide a wider community benefit than what we have just in our own areas.
Scarborough Beach has become more and more iconic, and in recent times we've invested $100 million into the whole revitalisation of this foreshore. What it means is not only are the locals coming back in droves now to enjoy it, but the tourists are coming here as well, and there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people now attracted to Scarborough Beach. In fact, on Thursday nights at the markets, we have up to 15,000 people here at any one time. And that means those people need to get in and out of Scarborough. And we know that it's all about linkages to major infrastructure. So by having trackless trams down Scarborough Beach Road and linking to the major rail, going through to Perth City and then beyond, means that people can easily come from the airport, stay in the city, access a major tourist destination. I think that's a really important part of this project. So already we've got the planning framework in place along the whole corridor to allow for the extra development. In fact, it's so progressive, the developers are already backing that plan, and we have major development happening along this corridor now. We not only need to try to attract developers by having major infrastructure put on the side of it, but we need to have really good transport networks. So we've been working closely with Professor Peter Newman for the last few years. We're very aware of the research he's been doing into trackless trams, and particularly with other local governments, and I think that's one of the important things with this project. It's about lots of local governments working together for a better transport solution. So if we can get that private investment to assist with that, it's going to make the project even more successful.
Most of the capital cities of Australia are building in a business as usual way that is leading to poorer cities. Whenever they need to increase their population, they'll go to the fringe. The opportunity exists to say, how do we now make this vision of a more intense Melbourne a reality? And what does that look like? The corridors around the tram network are a major part of that. I believe we should be looking at making development in and around our infrastructure as of right, and putting in place a very simple planning scheme. We want to retain the heritage. We want to build in and around the infrastructure. We want to provide a high quality public realm where the activation comes from the buildings that surround those public spaces. We want it to be of that area, that local character, and we want it to be well connected. We need to rebuild in a post-COVID environment in a sustainable way. We know climate change is the single biggest challenge we face. COVID is a passing 9 months, 12 months, that we will get past as we have with other catastrophes in history. But climate change is the most imminent one, and COVID and rebuilding gives us the opportunity to do it in a green way.
Townsville is a polycentric city. It has its old original centre, which was a CBD, which is where the port is, but it also has a series of productive precincts where the employment bases are. And where I'm talking to you from here in Douglas, with the university and the hospital and the military, it's actually the largest employment base of the city. So we were quite pleased to discover that there's an opportunity to link it back to the centre of the city through this thing that we call Smart Link. The cluster of retail and public facilities that exist between here and the CBD, you can see that there's a sense, well, why wouldn't we connect this stuff up? But we do believe that there's an opportunity through the SBE project to move us to the next plane, to the next kind of technology, to leapfrog a generation of past practice. So the City of Townsville, the Townsville Health and Hospital Services and the University have joined together, and we have sponsored the work which is being done by academics from Curtin and Griffith universities towards an inquiry into, well, just how suitable is our corridor for next generation public transport.
One of the key findings is around the value uplift potential of the corridor that we've been exploring, which we've determined to be in the order of 6%. And when you're looking at a region that has been grappling with some pretty significant challenges around economic development, climate-related disturbances and disruptions, that 6% could mean the difference between things remaining as they are to unlocking that potential for urban development that brings vibrance, vitality and enthusiasm amongst the community for what can happen along that corridor between the waterfront and the Army Barracks, the Knowledge Health Precinct and the university.
24,000 cars use Point Cook Road every day. Thousands more residents are about to move into Melbourne's newest suburb, Aviator Fields, just next door.
One of the things that our community tells us all the time is a problem for them is the amount of traffic congestion that they deal with. People lose a part of their day stuck in traffic. Really debilitating in the sense of you're losing a part of your life every single day, and that's the problem that we're trying to resolve.
7 o'clock, 7:15 in the morning, all the car parks are full. After that, if you come to there's no car park.
Buses are slow, they have a low capacity, and they will not cope with the demands of a city of nearly 500,000. We need a medium capacity and intermediate capacity transport mode here, and the mode that we are suggesting is a trackless tram.
We want to link the two railway lines, the regional rail link corridor with the metro corridor, and linking key activity centres. Windham's been working with Curtin University and RMIT to do an exercise of analysis and research into the delivery of trackless trams in Windham. We found this relationship to be very valuable in terms of developing a solid strategic foundation for why the trackless tram is a game-changing technology for outer metropolitan councils. And we've been able to use a thing called SNAMETS to investigate the value add that a trackless tram or various trackless tram routes could bring to Windham.
Liverpool is part of Sydney and is becoming Sydney's third CBD. It's the location of the new Western Sydney International Airport, which will be Australia's largest airport. What we're looking at is an unprecedented moment of change, both in our CBD and then all the way out 20 kilometres to the airport.
It's not a train and not a bus, but a tram that doesn't need a track. They're electric, providing a much quieter and smoother ride that's better for the environment. Liverpool Council wants to use the trams to connect their city centre with the new Badgerys Creek Airport.
Our trackless tram down 15th Avenue will bring people into our CBD and into the whole of the Greater West.
So with the corridor, we see a great opportunity within our greenfields areas to have what the Greater Sydney Commission call landscape-orientated development. Development that speaks to the surrounding landscape to create a landscape boulevard, to really bring those natural features to life, from the eucalypts and the nature of the trees, through to that experience when you look off into the distance and see the Blue Mountains. Those are all things that we think will create a really unique corridor for people to live in, and also for visitors as their first experience of Australia. A really early decision that Council made when we recognised we wanted to explore the 15th Avenue Smart Transit Corridor was to see what other cities were doing, and that led us to Curtin University, to the work of Peter Newman and his team. And so we were really excited to work with Peter on how some of the theoretical insights from Curtin University and the other academic partners might be applied in Liverpool. This is going to be the world's first 21st century digital airport gateway, and we want the corridor to have the similar level of technological advancement, of best practice.
Sunshine Coast, it is such a draw card for domestic tourism, for international tourism. It's a beautiful part of our southeast Queensland corridor, and it also faces the potential for congestion as we come in and love the place too much with our own personal transport vehicles. Working with Sunshine Coast Council has provided our research team with a great opportunity to think broadly about how a maturing city can engage with its people and its transport planning to deliver solutions that actually work for locals in having vibrant places to live, work and play, and also places for local to be able to connect to other destinations in and around the state and beyond.
So it's been a fast-growing city, and to some extent it's been growing faster than people realized it was becoming a city. And there's still a lot of attitudes around, oh, we're just a collection of beach shacks. Who would need public transport here? But hey, the freeways are congested. So and the growth trajectory is continuing, and the Olympics are coming. So we're now talking about a regional rail line from the coastal settlements to Brisbane. The current one is 20 kilometers inland. It's also about improving the public transport system for the local trips. That has basically been culminating in this proposal for a medium capacity transit route. And one of the big challenges for this NAMETS analysis was to actually look at how can these two different modes, which do very different things, actually support each other constructively. For example, the regional rail line will have an effect to bypass some places because it only has a few stops. The medium capacity transit does the opposite. It actually tries to penetrate these places and also channel a lot of travel movement through those places. That benefits those places.
When people can live and work in a place that has easy access to their essential services, allows for spontaneity and fun, and also enables them to do that in a low carbon environment, so using renewable energy and making sure that their greenhouse gas emissions of the built environment around them is low, then we have a great solution and a great opportunity to demonstrate this part of the world as a leader in that net zero outcome.
In analysing the future needs for our transport system, we've understood that in order to meet net zero, we need quite a different outcome. And that means getting people out of their cars and into other forms of transport. Heavy rail will form part of that solution, but really we need a more nimble, versatile option that can link between some of those options, including cycling and walking. So in delivering a mid-tier transport solution for Perth, it's about enabling more people to move more frequently throughout the network without having to get in their cars.
Trackless trams are the agenda. They're not just a clever technology, they are a way of unlocking urban development of a kind that we all need to see. It is about redevelopment rather than urban sprawl, and it is channeling it down corridors that enable them to have far less car use, and it creates the chance for net zero precincts around the stations that can spread into the whole city, enabling all of those new 21st century solar-based technologies to spread across the city. Now that's a big vision, but it can work and we need to get going on it.